Hi there. Technitool has asked me to review another one of their tools for you. This one is called the Nova 10-in-1 Workshop Gauge. It's plastic, it's red, and it's got, as the name would suggest, 10 different uses. Let me read them to you. A dovetail gauge, a diameter gauge, a center finder, a dowel gauge, an angle checker, a bowl chisel gauge, they call it, it's for bowl gouges, furniture dovetail marking, faceplate markout tool, a ruler scale, and a protractor. Now, I have looked at this, and some of the things on here are really useful in the shop. Good to have around. Others, for me anyway, not so much. But why don't I take you through all the different points on this, tell you what I think about it, and then you can judge whether it's something you'd want to have in your shop. So let's start with the dovetail gauge. Now the first thing I need to do is make a mark on the exact center. Now with that, I can choose to make a 25 millimeter, 45 millimeter, 50 millimeter, 100 millimeter, or between these two arrows, 130 millimeter dovetail. I'm going to go with the 50 millimeter, which is the equivalent of 2 inches. And I start by putting the left corner on that dot I made, on that center mark, and then mark on the right side. Now I'll just turn this on, mark that, and that will give me my 2-inch dovetail. Now I want to start cleaning this out using my skew chisel, and that's at approximately the same angle as the dovetail jaws in the chuck. So as I push it in, it will naturally move across inside that area. And I may turn the rest of this out with a square scraper. One thing I do not want to do is make this recess too deep. If it's too deep, this shoulder will end up sitting on the shoulder of the chuck jaws, and I don't want that. I just want the jaws, face of the jaws, to be on the inside of this recess. Now, just to test this, and there you go. That should work just fine. I could actually make that a little deeper, but I won't. I'm going to take this off of the woodworm screw and turn it around so we can see just how well this works. This recess is about 3/16 of an inch deep. I could easily go deeper than that, but I believe that's going to be good enough. Now just let me lock this in here. Doesn't need to be too deep. These dovetail jaws hold very well. And let's just see how well it does hold. I'm going to be turning this at 1000 RPM. No problem at all. So that's the dovetail gauge. Now let's go on to number 2, the diameter gauge. When I wanted to make a particular diameter on here, I used to come around with a bunch of mechanics wrenches, open-end wrenches, and I would use those. Now I don't need to take those with me anymore. I can just bring this along. This goes everywhere from 7/16 of an inch right up to 1 inch. So I can put this on here, and I see that it's smaller than 7/8, just about exactly on 3/4 there. When I come up here, there's where 7/8 of an inch is, a little smaller than 1 inch, but I can check. And if I'm going for 3/4 of an inch, I can find that it's right there, and then all I have to do is just turn from this spot all the way up, making it the same. And that's working pretty darn good. A little fine tuning on there and I'd have it right where I want it. So this is something I will always keep near my lathe for doing that. To mark the center of a blank, there are 2 arms on each side. On one side they're at 90 degrees, on the other side they're at 60 degrees. To mark the center of a round block, you would use the 60-degree arms, straddle the blank in there, make a line, turn the blank a little bit, another line, and another, until you're satisfied you found the center. Now if it's perfectly round, it'll be marked with right across the spot, right in the center. If it's oblong a little bit, you'll find that lines might be out a little bit, and then you have to find the middle of those lines to find the center. Now to mark the center on a square or rectangular block, you use the other side where the arms are at 90 degrees. And you would put one of those arms on one side, slide the other one up. It's a little hard to hold here. And make a line. Turn it 90 degrees. Do the next one, and always do all 4, because if it's not perfectly square, you'll find that there's more than one line there. And when that happens, need 3 hands. When that happens, you have to split the difference and mark right in the middle between those 2 lines to find the center. This is a very handy thing to have. I have other center finders, but now it's incorporated into this one tool, and I just keep it near my lathe and use it all the time. All right, that's number 3. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is the dowel gauge. The dowel gauge is very handy. If you have a lot of dowels laying around your shop, and I always do, different sizes, sometimes I take off these labels that say what the size is, and then getting out there with a pair of calipers will do it. Tape measure doesn't quite get close. But with this, you can just take the dowel, and the larger sizes are along here that I described before. And you can just lay it in there, and that tells me that this one is a 3/4 inch dowel. Now when you get down to some of the smaller sizes, there are holes in here. On one side, they're metric, and they go from 3 millimeters up to 10 millimeters. On the other side, they're standard, and they go from 1/8 of an inch up to 3/8 of an inch. So I can take this here until I find the one that it fits, and I know this is a 5/16 dowel. I'll get down to a real small one here. What is this? And this is a 1/8 inch dowel. So it's got all those different sizes. You never have to be confused what size of dowel you have. And have you ever noticed when you buy dowels, you can buy 2 1/2 inch dowels and they're not exactly the same? That's why sometimes you want to turn your own dowels. Let's go on to the next part of this gauge. All right, we're up to number 5 and moving right along. This is the angle checker. Now, what this is a series of slots along here at different angles, and they're marked at 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 45, 50, and 70 degrees. So if I take this gouge and set it in here, and I grind it to 50 degrees, this lets me check to see just how close I am. And I have to put this along the flute on the inside, and then you can tell that I'm just about perfect right there. I hope that shows up on the camera. There's another one here. This one is 30 degrees. So if I put that on inside of the flute, and again, it looks like it's right on. One more here. This one tells me it's 35 degrees. And it looks to me like I'm actually out just a hair. Looks like it's out just a little bit. And now number 6 is the Dowel Gauge angle checker. And to use that, you put your gouge across these places. Oh, man, it's been a long day. Across the end of these dowel checkers. And then it has the angle here. This one is 35 degrees right there. So if I go like this, again, it shows that I'm out a hair, just like the angle checker did down here. And for this, you can use the 35 degrees. The angle checkers for the other ones. Great little tool. So far, we're going right along here. Now let's see what the next one looks like. Now I have to admit this next one has got me beat. They call it the furniture dovetail marking. And what it says is used as an approximate guide for checking dovetail bits and jigs. 1, take a dovetail bit or a jig. 2, attach the flat end of the tool to the flat piece of the chuck gauge. And 3, adjust accordingly. I honestly don't know what that means, and I have not been able to find out. I have a friend who builds furniture and uses dovetails all the time. And he was going to show me how this works until he looked at it and realized he didn't have a clue. So, I'm sorry, Technitool, you beat me on this one. I don't know what to say about this. So I'm going to skip right over this one, go on to the next one, which is the Faceplate Markout tool. And I'm going to use that with the Nova faceplate ring. This is the 50 millimeter. It will also work for the 80 millimeter. Now, these numbers are a little hard to see. I don't think they're going to show up on the camera at all. But what you want to do is find the center mark that's between the 1 and 2 inch marks along the ruler and put that right on the center of your turning block, which is what I found earlier. Then, up a little further, there's a mark right here, and one back here. Mark those out. And then there are these little crosses right in here, and you want to mark those. And now you will have the 4 spots for the screws to go in. When you set this on there, they're right on those marks. You can screw this down, and it's in the center. Works pretty good. Got to have pretty good eyes or glasses to see those marks though. Now, the next thing on here is the ruler scale, which is right along the inside here in imperial and over here in metric. Goes up to 100 millimeters over here and up to 5.5 inches along here on the imperial. All right, there's one thing left to show you. And this is the protractor. And that's that circle right in there. Now, it's okay. It gives you a bit of an idea of what's going on. But the problem is, it is really small. And so if you want to do 214 degrees, you're not going to be able to. Personally, I carry a protractor with me. I'm just going to show you that's where it is. You can figure it out from there. Well, my judgment of this tool is that it's very useful for 8 out of the 10 points. I'm afraid for me, the protractor is just too small to be what I consider useful. And the so-called furniture dovetail markup, I have no idea what to do with that. So I'm sorry, I did a lot of Google searching, searched YouTube, and couldn't find anybody that did any kind of a decent review on this tool at all. So if you know how that dovetail markup works, feel free to let me know, or do a video of your own if you like. But if you don't want to do that, let me know and I'll do a little bit of an addendum to this one explaining how this works, because I would really like to know myself. So I hope you got something out of this. Maybe it's something you'll want to get out there and find for yourself. I'm definitely going to keep it around my lathe. I think it's quite useful in a number of areas. So thank you for stopping in today. I hope you'll come back next time. If you did like this, click the like button. Let me know I'm doing something right. And if you got a friend out there who can't figure out how to use it, feel free to share this video with him or her. So until next time, have a great day in your shop and be safe. Thanks for stopping in and take care. Bye-bye now.